Basically, the idea of the world going under. It was a theme that I thought was suitable for a children's book. But of course, combined with an invasion from outer space, or in this case, actually inner space, or not so outer space. They are coming from the moon, and you can't see them. And they are really, really nasty animals, kind of animals that you wish didn't exist. And in this book, Nili and Lisa and Doktor Proktor, they have to basically save the world. I thought that was natural. They in the third book in the series about Doktor Proktor, is that it has sort of escalated from saving themselves to saving the neighborhood, and now finally to save the world. I don't know if when I start writing these books, if I have any real inspiration. It must be some things from my own childhood, I guess. But basically, it's like if writing the Harry Hole series is directing a symphony orchestra or conducting a symphony orchestra, this is more like bringing your guitar to a jazz jam session with a couple of guys on scene and just start playing and see what happens. You have some basic chords, and in the writing process some basic themes and characters, and I have planned the story, but I'm always open to changing the story and go in other directions. So it's really fun stories to write, and just the writing process is in many ways an inspiration in itself. And I think that it's just that the writing and the characters takes me to where I'm going in these books. I try to stay disciplined. I try to be a grown-up and to have a plan and to follow and stick to the plan, but doesn't always happen that way. At the end of the day, I've been sitting in a room all by myself writing, and it feels like I've been riding a roller coaster and swimming and jumping from mountains and flying planes all day long. Feels that way. That's a good thing about being a writer. You don't have to go anywhere. You can just sit in your own room and do whatever you like and travel wherever you like, meet people, spend time with friends. I've been writing, about Doktor Proktor in cafes, at airports, at planes, at trains, a little bit at home too, at my small cottage just outside Oslo. But I find it that the most productive time is on the train riding to my cottage rather than at the cottage. I really like the idea of writing about the end of the world, and writing about a small nation being run by a king, and having someone taking over the country. So it's a sort of story about what would happen if we had World War II again in Oslo, if we were invaded by foreigners. How would you and I react? Who would be the heroes? And in this case, it's the three most unlikely people. It's a more or less mad professor who is only interested in his own inventions, and his girlfriend, and this tiny red-haired guy, Nili, who always want to be a hero, but who isn't too keen to live a dangerous life. And it's Lisa, who is this clever, wise girl, and who also doesn't want to risk too much. Those are the three people that really have to stand up against the invaders. In my children's books, you know, if I were to rewrite them, they would probably be totally different. And that is because I do plan, I do have a plot, I do have a story before I start, but I will, every time you know, I will write something totally, or not totally, but at least it will be quite different from what I planned. So it would be the same thing if I rewrote them, that I would probably end up somewhere completely different from where I planned. And that is, you know, nice thing about writing the children's books, that I'm letting my, you know, my imagination take me to the places where I hadn't planned to go. When I started writing the third book in the Doktor Proktor series, I had, you know, a feeling that it might be the last book, but I changed my mind. It's too much fun to write, and also I promised some children that I would write the third book or a fourth book. So now I have to. Simple as that.